Hey, I'm Adam Jusko from ProudMoney.com. A new credit card out today called the X1 card, well, sort of out today, and it has a lot of promise, but we will see if it can actually keep its promises when it's officially out there on the market. We're going to take a look at it, but first I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So, X1 card is the name of this new Visa that is being announced today. However, this is a waitlist card, which means they are telling us a lot of things that this card will have, but until the card actually hits the market, we can't be 100% sure that they can actually follow through and make all these things happen. So it looks really interesting on the surface. We'll see what actually happens. So let's break it down. So the team behind the X1 card is a team that is already behind Thrive Cash, which offers personal loans to college students and I think people that may have recently graduated from college. So this is sort of another step in that direction. It's some Silicon Valley types, former Twitter employees, and then some backers from PayPal and Instagram and other companies as well. So the big promise here, they're calling it the smartest credit card ever made, not to overhype things, but the big promise here is that they are saying they are going to be able to offer credit to people not based on their past, and some people don't even have a past credit history, so it's going to be based on their current income and sort of the promise of their future income. So they're not looking at a credit history here to determine if someone can get this card or not. And part of that is going to be a soft pull on your credit if you even have a credit history, but that's not going to affect your credit score. You're not going to have to worry about that. They're saying they're making the decision based on your income. Now what that means in their minds is two things. Number one, you may be approved for a credit card when you are having trouble getting a credit card, because if you don't have a credit history, sometimes it is difficult to get your first credit card. So if you have a decent income and they believe you can have a even more decent income in the future, well then that is a possibility of you getting approved here. And then the second piece of it is they're saying you could get credit lines 5 times what other credit card issuers would give you, again based on the fact that they believe if your income is good and if you sort of have the promise of even better income down the road, then they can afford to give you a larger credit line. And then they also say that with those bigger credit lines, that means you won't be utilizing as much of the credit that you get, hopefully, and that will help your credit score, which is kind of interesting considering the fact that in one breath they are saying that credit scores and credit reports are sort of the old dinosaur way of doing business, and then in the next breath they are saying that by having low credit utilization you can help your credit score. So they're kind of playing both sides of the fence there. All right, so how that approval decision is made and how much of a credit line you get are two things that the team behind the X1 card sees as differentiators from other cards on the market. But let's look at what the card actually offers beyond that if you were a holder, and we'll start with the rewards. So the X1 card is a no annual fee Visa signature card, and the rewards are 2 points per dollar on all purchases you make with the card. However, if you spend at least $15,000 within a year, that goes up to 3 points per dollar. And that 3 points would be on everything you had purchased, not just beyond $15,000. From $1, it would go up to 3 points per dollar. Now, you also could earn 4 points per dollar for sort of short periods of time. If you refer other people to the card and they are approved, you would get 4 points per dollar on purchases you made with the card for the month following when the other person was approved. So some high point totals there. 2x just as a base is pretty nice. 3x obviously would be even better, and the 4x is kind of nice, but you know, you're probably only going to do so many referrals. So those points are worth a penny each, but if there is any sort of catch here, it is that you can only use the points to purchase things from retailers. You cannot use those points as cash back. You cannot use them as statement credits on purchases that you have made. You can only use them at certain retailers that the X1 card says you can use them at. Now it looks like they're going to have a fairly long list. They're showing Apple and Adidas and Delta and Airbnb and a lot of other potential retailers, and I don't know if they're partners exactly or how that's working. But anyway, they're showing a long list of where you could use your points. However, when you look at 2x points or you look at 3x points, you can't just think of those as 2% cash back or 3% cash back. You have to think of those as being toward purchases that you make at their partner retailers. So you have to decide that loss of flexibility is okay with you when you compare it to the fact that you're getting a pretty nice return. Now, one thing the X1 card is not hyping right now is any sort of sign-up bonus. Perhaps that could change at launch, but right now they are not talking about there being any potential sign-up bonus for new card holders. So the value here would be in those everyday rewards, not in any sort of bonus upfront. Now, there are some other features that make X1 say that they are the smartest credit card ever made. The first of them, it's not really a novel concept exactly, but it is something that seems like it is gaining more desirability from a lot of people, and that is virtual credit card numbers. So you can have your credit card, but you can use a virtual one-time number to make certain purchases. One place in particular, even beyond the security of using a virtual credit card number, is the fact that you can use a virtual number for free trials and that sort of thing. Those trials that say we're going to start charging you after the free trial. And if you have a virtual number, you can just cut it off and they don't have access to your real credit card number. So that is a nice thing. You can do that same thing with other types of subscriptions. You can cut them off and they don't have access to your credit card number to keep charging you even after you've been trying to get them to stop. And I don't know if this necessarily makes it smart, but this credit card is metal, stainless steel to be specific. Let's listen. All right, some other things that the X1 card is promising. It will work with Apple Pay or Google Pay in terms of interest rates, 12.9% to 19.9%, depending on, I'm not sure what. If they're not using your credit history, I guess maybe it has to do with your income as to whether you fall in the low range or the high range. Any of those rates are fairly decent by today's credit card standards. 12.9, very good. 19.9 is okay, but when you have other credit cards on the market that are going up into the high 20%, then that obviously isn't too bad. No fees on this card, no annual fee, like I said, no foreign transaction fees, no late fees. Although actually they kind of contradict themselves because they say that there is a 2% balance transfer fee if you are transferring a balance onto this card, which actually is a fee, but they tout that as a feature because of the fact that many cards have a 3% or more balance transfer fee if you transfer a balance onto them. However, I'm not totally buying that as a feature because of the fact that there's no 0% offer related to this card. So oftentimes with other cards, when you get them new, there's a 0% offer for 12 months or 15 months or 18 months or whatever it is, and there might be a balance transfer fee of 3, 4, 5%, but you're getting 0% for a while. In this one, there's not a 0% offer attached. So if you transfer a balance, you might be paying a lower balance transfer fee, but you're getting a higher interest rate that you have to pay once that balance has been transferred onto this card. So most of the stuff that the X1 card is promising looks really good, and I could see a lot of people that would be interested in this card. The question is, like another card that I recently reviewed, is this real or is it vaporware? Is it something where it looks good on paper and the hype up front tries to get people excited and get them on a waiting list, but when the card actually launches, it's something different than what they said it was going to be? We're not sure. We're not even sure if the card will ever launch. Now, we do know there's a team behind it that at least has launched another financial product, so that feels like there's at least some likelihood that we will see this in the future. But those are the things you have to think about. I put myself on the waiting list. I'm like 9,000 something on the waiting list. You can put yourself on the waiting list, and whenever they finally do roll things out here, hopefully you will be able to at least get a shot at this card. I think there are ways for you to try to move yourself up that waiting list. I always find those kind of annoying in a way, to be honest with you, that you're supposed to jump through some hoops to get even higher on the waiting list. But anyway, I'm totally on board with this idea of using income, both current and future income, as a way to decide on a credit approval and to decide on what kind of credit line someone might get. I think a lot of people do get shut out, or they get sort of, not very good terms on their first credit cards. However, when you sort of run things in the way that the X1 card is saying they're going to, what it also means is is that the people that are going to be approved are probably more likely to make a good income, or they're working in certain industries where it seems very likely that their income is going to go up fairly rapidly and they are going to make very good money for a while. So it probably actually, while it's letting some people in, it's probably also shutting a good number of people out. If your income is, sort of stable but not really going up, maybe you're not very attractive to them. If your credit history is okay but not stellar, well then maybe you're not that attractive to them either. So there's probably a lot of people that are going to find this card attractive that even if it does roll out and it promises everything it says, they might not be approved for it. So it looks slick, sounds good, but I'll believe it when I see it. This card doesn't even have a bank behind it as far as I can tell. At least there's nothing that they're showing on their website as to who is actually issuing you the credit card. So whenever there's a waiting list involved, you have to wonder what is going on. So I'm a little suspicious but hopeful on this card. Get yourself on the waiting list if you're interested. It's not going to hurt anything, and we'll see what happens. That's it. Questions, comments, put them in the comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and as always, please go to proudmoney.com where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. Thanks for watching. Bye.